forgot I had this shirt. But wish my Kim was working last night. I would have worn this for that video. But you know why I'm wearing it. And I'm gonna take it off right after I'm done filming because it's too hot to be wearing a black shirt. But I had to. So, uh, so last night I watched Bill and Ted 3, and I liked it. Uh, I took notes. I'm gonna get into those right now. I'm looking at something real quick before I start talking. Um, so they brought back a lot of people for this. Not just Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. They brought back William Sadler's death, which I'm gonna talk a lot about later on. Ted's dad. We'll talk about him in a second. I actually called it the previous review. I said because in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, evil robot Bill calls his former stepmom his future wife. I said, will they follow through in the next one? So close, so close, almost. They brought her back too, the same woman, same actress. But there was some, and then but there was some interesting recast. That's what I'm looking into right now, and I'd like to know why. Okay, let's see here. Oh, she's beautiful. What? It's still active. Why didn't she come back? I'm looking at the princesses. Diana Franklin. Yeah, she's still working. Beautiful as ever. Why she didn't come back, I'm not sure. And then Kimberly Gates, the other princess, still working. Why she didn't come back, I don't know. Instead, they got recast by Jamie Mays, who I'm a fan of. I've been for a while, and my surname is Erin Hayes. She's a woman who got fired from Kevin Can Wait, but it was nothing dramatic. Like, and she's funny. She's a comedian. Yeah, Erin Hayes. Okay, I don't know why they replaced him. Maybe because this movie takes place 25 years after the first one, even though this is 30 years. This is like 30 years after the second one, and neither Jamie Mays nor Erin Hayes, their names kind of wrong. Neither of them would be old enough to have been in the first two in this kind of role. I don't know, but everybody else came back was awesome. Even Bill's Ted's dad. I actually like him in this one. I didn't like him in the first two, and the reason I like him in this one is the reason I didn't like him in the first one, because he's a hard ass and he has a lot of reason to be in this one. But all that comes to fruition finally. Okay, so I talked about prediction. Oh, and there's one prediction that I meant to record and talk about in my previous video, but I forgot to, and that was Kristen Schaal. I was like, well, what if she is the daughter of Rufus, who's George Carlin? And I was right. A lot of people were thinking that, and we were right. Now, speaking of George Carlin, um, yeah, they pay him a lot of love in this one. Big tribute. I mean, he shows up briefly, and that's in the heart, man. It was awesome. And he's talked about a whole lot throughout this movie. Because there's like, he's not his only fellow member in the movie. But they don't talk about Clarence Clemens, which I don't understand. I mean, he was literally credited as the most important person in the world in the first one. Okay. New historic figures. Yeah. Okay, so the first one, we went from having Beethoven to the second one having Bach, who's my dude, to in this one having Mozart. Okay. And seeing Mozart and Jimi Hendrix like shred and play, that was awesome. But Jimi Hendrix is in this as a depiction of Jimi Hendrix, and is awesome. Uh, and he actually looks like Jimmy. I actually marked out. And he's not. It's not like Andre 3000. He's not wearing a bad wig. Like, this dude legit looks like Jimi Hendrix, man. And then here's one. Let me double check because this is what I think it is. That's right from my childhood. Right from my childhood. That's what I think it is. Okay, never mind. There's a Louis Armstrong depiction. I thought it was somebody from Nickelodeon, but it's not. Some dude. We're cutting all of that out. So yeah. So we got like Louis Armstrong and Mozart, Jimi Hendrix. Those are the ones I actually knew who they were. And there are other ones too. And the one thing I was scared of with this movie coming out in 2020 is the music because I mean today's music is just like most of it is not really. You gotta look for actual music. So I was like, oh no, who's gonna show up from this generation? And will it be as bad as I think? Because in the first one, you had Jane Wheatland and Clarence Clemens, who were awesome. The second one, you had oh well, gee, thanks. You had somebody from Faith No More show up, which is awesome, and you had Primus actually have a cameo, which was awesome. And then in this one, you have Kid Cudi. And when they said, "Hey, it's Kid Cudi," I said, "Oh, come on, man! Why?" I've never been a big Kid Cudi fan. Another person though, I just maybe two or three songs of his I might like. I don't know. I don't really listen to his music. It doesn't grab my attention, and that's okay. He was okay in the movie. Okay actor, especially for a Bill and Ted movie. It was fun. Uh, I was just waiting for him to perform, and we will come back to that. And then there is one more musician that appears in this movie that I wish was in that final song, and that's Dave Grohl. Because the whole time I'm like, I wonder if we get a Kurt Cobain depiction. That'd be cool. And then Dave Grohl shows up. I'm like, that is awesome. It was funny too. Okay, so at the end of Bill and Ted 2, Bill and Ted have sons named Bill and Ted. Other sons or daughters also named Billy and Theodora. Bill and Ted. Or they didn't address the change, so I stick with my theory, which is they messed with time a lot, and also it's 2020, and that's all good. I like some early living, it's all good. Death is back. He's still funny. He's not what he was in two, but he's still funny. Like I remember, I said I wanted a spin-off movie with Death. Was wearing a shirt? It feels weird talking about, but you know what I mean. I said I wanted a spin-off because it sounds like it would be crazy, and based on this movie, it was crazy. Uh, Sounds like with some funny stuff. Like, and then William Sadler, he's obviously still going to be deaf. I say do it, man. Like, all the stuff he was talking about happening since then, it was hilarious, man. Oh, man. Um, alright, so those are the things I liked about it, right? Yeah, I mean, it was funny. You know the story. Bill and Ted have to make that song they've been trying to make since for 30 years. Only now, times, you know what, that's so bad, but that now they're almost out of time, you know? And so they just start jumping throughout town trying to steal a song from themselves because they're lazy and not exactly smart. Uh, and they run into other versions of themselves, and they're all hilarious, most of them. Uh, and yeah, and Bill and Ted do come through in the end. It's not the version you might be expecting. I saw it coming. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But I don't know if you'll see it coming. Uh, but yeah, um, I mean, that's all to say about. I mean, what this movie is. I'll get to that. So things I didn't like. There was like I didn't talk about the effects of the first two movies. The effects of the first two are really good, especially the second one. Really good effects, practical. This one has in like one scene, and I don't like talking about stuff like this, you know, because I'm not hung up on stuff like this. But there was one scene where the green screen was bad. It actually gave me a headache. It's not the worst green screen I've seen, but it gave me a headache. That's all. Uh, I almost forgot to mention this movie's also part Terminator. So that, and then the Terminator S character is hilarious and named after apparently an ex-boyfriend of Kristen Skull. Yeah. So back to things I didn't really like. The final song was the weakest of the three movies, I think. It did what most songs today try to do: make it all big and epic, and turn around and epically fail. Like that's the thing with with these movies. They've always had good music. Like, and they've always been kind of like rock kind of music. And this one is still kind of there, but the final song is definitely not a rock song. It is. I was scared it was gonna be like some dubstep, EDM type stuff, and it almost was. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but it did not remind me at all of Bill and Ted. I mean, can't believe I'm about to say this. I didn't hate it as a Kid Cudi song that I listened to all the way through and didn't entirely hate. There you go. Uh, it, all the stuff they went through, 'cause it's called Face the Music. Like that subtitle, it means two things. The first thing I already knew going in, I saw an interview like Bill and Ted are going to be going through shit, and they do. But the second one is like a plot point. Like those words are a plot point in the movie. It means so many different things. So I like that. But when they finally do Face the Music, and they finally get this song they've been talking about for 30 years, to me it did not deliver. I maybe it's my own musical preference, but my musical preference is pretty vast. Like there's a lot of variety. Like you saw me mark out over Johann Sebastian Bach in the second one. I love Johann Sebastian Bach, and you saw me mark out over Faith No More, who I love. And I just talked about marking out over Jimi Hendrix and Louis Armstrong, who I love. But this one, it was a cluttered mess to me. I mean, I know what they were trying to do. I just didn't get that. And then the first two movies had a very, very nice message. Even if they didn't actually say it directly in the second one, it's in there. And they say it at the end of the credits. That's be excellent to everyone. Now more than ever, we need that. And they should have said it in this movie as well. But they didn't. It wasn't in the, well, I don't know if it's in the credits. I couldn't take the music in the credits. I fast forward to that end credit scene because I could not take that music. Uh, and yeah, there's an end credit scene. They're calling it the very last dose of Bill and Ted. Which the fact that they're saying it's the last one makes me suspicious. But okay, this is how they go out. I mean, they did what they were set up to do 30 years ago. But somehow I don't believe it. But okay. I still want the Death spin-off movie. Like, I'll watch that. Maybe their daughter spin-off movie. If they get one, I'd watch that. What this movie is it's like Dumb and Dumber 2. It was made explicitly, exclusively for those who enjoyed the first one, or in this case, the first two. I love the first Dumb and Dumber. I was that dumb teenager, always buying or renting a movie when I was a kid, watching it a lot. And so I love Dumb and Dumber 2. A lot of people don't. Wasn't made for them. That's okay. Same here. Love Bill and Ted. And so I like this movie. I do. I even love it a little bit. I do. Not everyone will. Unless you're a Bill and Ted fan, it'll probably go over you. Like a lot of the jokes probably will. The acting, if you don't, if you're not, if you don't at least know who Bill and Ted are, you could say, "Wow, this acting is like, so easily." It's like that. That's what this is gonna be. At very, very worst, that's what it'll be. At very best, it'll be a great movie. And we all agree it's a great movie. I don't know. I know I want movies to keep being released in theaters and streaming because I'm one of the people who can't actually go anywhere and won't be able to go to a theater for a long time. So this was great. A lot of nostalgia for me. And I know I said on the effects earlier, that green screen. For the most part, all the effects are good. And I love the scenes with Death and this Terminator type dude in the same scene because they're both heavy in makeup and prosthetic stuff. And they look awesome. And the CGI looks awesome, you know. And I don't know what else to say about it. Most people are saying it's not as good as the first two. I can see that. I think it's better than the first one, but not the second one. Yeah, I gave the first one a B, the second one an A, and this one is A minus because of that ending. Namely, there isn't one. It just kind of stops after the final song. That's really my only problem. Like, that's it. Because it had an actual ending. It's supposed to be the ending of Bill and Ted. It sort of had an actual ending. But that's really it. Also, could have been more metal jokes, more rock jokes, more rock appearances. We got Kid Cudi. That's okay. It's okay. That's okay. And I want to say this one didn't try to be relevant and appeal to what's hot right now. And for the most part, it didn't. Until Kid Cudi, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm talking a lot about Kid Cudi. It's just all the craziness he didn't seem to fit. You know, like if he were a different character, yeah. Because as I said, he wasn't bad in it. I just, I don't know. It took me out of it whenever he showed up. They said Kid Cudi. You know, like, you know, that's just me. Again, no disrespect at all to Kid Cudi. That's all. That's all.